Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I want to be considerate of everyone's time too, but I also wanted everyone to be able to get on. We're sitting at about 285 people on the call and it continues to go up. Welcome everybody. As we told you on the call last Thursday when it ended, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'm not a fan of video, but I'll do it. We would get back in touch if we received any guidance that we felt we needed to share with you via this platform versus just emails. So last Thursday, late evening, I received an email from our Southwest region that there was going to be a national call for all state agencies because they had guidance coming out. And so we were on that call last Friday afternoon, and sure enough, they issued 2 memos. One of those was solely dealing with fresh fruit and vegetable, which we're covered there. We'll get to that. It's not as important. It is important, don't get me wrong. It's not as important as this other. There was guidance that was put out by the national office. Like I said, last Friday afternoon, we received it in the form of a memo. It has probably been put out by several advocacy groups and SNA and of the such. So it is memo SP for school programs 24-2020. You can Google that and it will come right up. It will also, if it has not already been posted on our CARS website, it is on our CARS website. It's there. So it covers several different programs. Most important right now, school programs. Covers some CACFP. So I'm going to go over this with you. The first question, which is what we've all been asking and trying to get guidance on, and we finally did, was do you have to feed your virtual students? Here we go. Number 1. If a state agency, no, we have opted into it. There is a nationwide waiver to allow non-congregate feeding in the child nutrition programs that USDA put out, and that's been out since March, basically. It has extended through the entire summer, and they've moved it into National School Lunch to cover National School Lunch. So if you as a district decide to opt into that nationwide waiver to allow non-congregate feeding at your school, you will be required to feed your virtual students. So as it states, I'm not gonna read these verbatim to you. I want to summarize them and give you the information that we got. You all are able to read them verbatim. And so basically, if a school chooses to use this nationwide waiver to allow non-congregate feeding to provide non-congregate meals, then meals must be offered to every enrolled student, whether they attend virtually or in person. So there you have it. Some of the districts I am hearing that they're not feeding their virtual kids. While that is acceptable per the guidance we were put out, we do want to encourage you, if you're able to do it, please do. There are a lot of children that do need the meals. But I'm just gonna leave that right there. The next question on it, and it's a Q&A memo, so there's multiple questions under each subheading, and I'm under school reopening, National School Lunch, School Breakfast. The second one is dealing with virtual classes, and this is clarifying what we've said on this call multiple times. F&S regulations at 7 CFR 210.2 define a school, quote unquote, as operating in a single building or complex of buildings. Therefore, schools that have always operated entirely virtual and do not normally operate in school buildings would not meet the definition of a school for the purpose of the program. Therefore, they won't serve meals on this program. We have never had all virtual schools on the National School Lunch, School Breakfast program. Again, because your district is using a virtual model potentially this year because of COVID, that does allow you to feed your virtual kids, just FYI. So that did not change. What we've said, I think the last at least 2 calls, if not maybe 3 calls, that's what we've been saying all along. Okay, several questions regarding a shortened school week. If schools schedule a shortened week, meaning have classes on Monday through Thursday and have Fridays off to clean the building, may they provide meals for the students to take home for Friday through the National School Lunch School Breakfast Program. Here's how USDA defines that or answers that. If Friday is not a quote unquote day of operation where the school provides instruction, then meals may not be provided through the National School Lunch School Breakfast Program, and it gives the regulation. However, if students are given work to do at home and the school considers it an instructional day, meals may be offered if the state has elected to use the flexibilities provided under the nationwide waiver to allow non-congregate feeding, which we have. We have opted into that as a state, so keep that in mind. I think that is the way we've answered that as well prior to today. The fourth question is regarding, this has been asked before in the call, picking up meals at a different district. So hypothetically, I'm going to just give you a hypothetical. If a child from Yukon Public Schools, because Yukon's doing virtual, let's say, I don't even know what Yukon's doing. This is just hypothetical. Keep that in mind. Yukon Public School, a student needs to go to stay with grandma and grandpa in Edmond, Oklahoma, because mom and dad work in Edmond and they need that child to be able to have supervision with grandma and grandpa to do virtual learning because of Yukon doing virtual learning. Can that child go to Edmond and get a meal? The answer is yes, and here is how you handle it. Edmond and Yukon need to communicate so that Edmond gets the child's eligibility lunch status from Yukon. That needs to be done in an email. Based on that child's status at Yukon, Edmond claims that meal free, reduced, or paid based on that child's status after getting it from Yukon. Yukon, the home school district, will claim that child as a free or reduced eligible, if they're free or reduced, obviously, and include that child on their low income report. That's that, but it can be done. If, let me use Oklahoma City as an example. I'm going to keep my Yukon example. Shauna, this might answer it because you're a CEP, so this might help you. I did a non-CEP example. Okay, so I'm going to use my Yukon student as an example. Goes to grandma and grandpa's in Oklahoma City, and the grandma or grandpa goes and picks up a meal for that student at Oklahoma City. Well, Oklahoma City's CEP, so all their students eat free. So what Shauna will do is Shauna will track all those meals. So I'm going to use just round numbers here. Say Shauna has 100 kids from a different districts that come and pick up a meal from her district. She's going to keep track of that total number. She will apply, and I'm saying Shauna, this could be anyone with a school. She's the last one that put in information in the chat. I apologize. The CEP school will keep track of those total meals. They will apply their free claiming percentage under CEP, and the amount times their percentage of free, they will claim free. The rest will be underpaid. Does that make sense? I hope. So if Shauna's claiming, or your CEP claiming percentage is 80% free and 20% paid, based, and you did 100 meals, 80 of those meals would be claimed as free and 20 would be claimed as paid. Just using round hypothetical numbers here. This is only if the district that grandma and grandpa live in is offering a non-congregate feeding. Yes, they wouldn't be able to just go get a meal. Yeah, that is correct. It'd be a non-congregate. Heather Pittman, what if we have a virtual student enrolled in our district who has 2 siblings that are enrolled in EPIC? No, sorry, no, the answer is no. Okay, Shauna, does that make sense? Okay. Do you still have to keep a record of the students you feed? Yes, because you're going to have that email. So in my first example of Yukon going into Edmond, Edmond is going to get the status of that child from Yukon as far as free, reduced, or paid to be able to claim it. That email will suffice for who you fed, and he will be. Do they need to write? I know where you're going with that, and my mind just caught up with what you were asking. They would need to keep a name, right? That, yes. Okay, that's where I was going with that. I'm sorry, I'm looking over at Dana when I look away from the computer. Yeah, you would have to keep track of that child each. Yes, that they came and got a meal. Yes, that is correct. Okay, Catherine Wilson. This seems like a nightmare. I still don't get it, but we'll call if I need help on my first claim. That would be fine. We have gone over this with our field staff, the child nutrition field staff, so they're aware of this. We did this on Monday, and we discussed it again yesterday on a call with them. So you can always reach out to them. If there's questions, they can reach back out to us here in the office. That's perfectly fine. Okay, hold on. I'm catching up with chat. Hold on just a second. Sorry. Okay, our school is next to a district that is provision all free. I just need to verify. Oh, I have one more question about that. Hold on. I want to try and stay in order. So how are we supposed to charge these students when they aren't in our student information system? That was a draft. Teresa, let me check on that. Okay, I'll double check on that. I think it may come to me. I think I had that conversation with USDA, but it's not ringing a bell. All right, the next one. Okay, our school is next to a district that is provision, all free. What I just need to verify, they are enrolled in their district and add them to my free category. That district, for a provision,
they're a CEP school and they come to a school that's not.
That was answered this morning. Yeah, they feed them. But are you, okay, so Bertha, are you referring to, the boss is calling me. Are you referring to provision being 2 or 3 or CEP? If Bertha answers that, remind me of what that question is. Sometimes I forget. There's so many questions. Okay. If we have virtual day on Wednesday, can we send home meals with the students on Tuesday? Yes, you may. That is a virtual day, so you may feed them. No, they'll just go in your free, Lori, this is for you. They'll just go on your free count, your total free count, is what I was told by the USDA. Deer Creek District. So can I feed students enrolled in Edmond, but are staying in Deer Creek on their virtual days? I think Edmond's, I was going to say Edmond is offering meals on their virtual days. I do know that, but you're saying if they're at a grandparent's house in Deer Creek, yes, you'd have to get the status of the child from Edmond if they don't have a way to go get them at Edmond. Charter kids. If their school's not offering, well, no, if they're staying at a grandparent that's in your district, Shauna, this is your question, I'm sorry. What about charter kids? Can I feed them too or no? Well, if a same example, if that charter school is doing all virtual and they need to go to a relative's house, grandma, grandpa, whoever, and do virtual in a supervised setting and they come to get a meal, it would be the same way of what we just talked about a few minutes ago, answering the question. Okay, there's a couple questions in there. Dana works a little bit ahead of me just to kind of see what we've got coming. Some of you are saying you're not seeing the questions. Make sure in the 2 box below the chat, it's set to all panelists and attendees. Oh, yours, okay. Dana just said somebody said they are set that way. I don't have an answer for that then. Okay, Jim, we are CEP and have a meal that's called visiting students You have a meal or you have a way to enter it into your system? I think you mean you have a way to enter it into your system that way. Yes, do those visiting, Jim, do you know, do those visiting students, when you enter them, if I'm understanding your question, when you use that, is it totaling them and then using your free claiming percentage to include them in as free? I don't know if I verbalized that quite right. Okay, I'm going to stop with the questions right there and move on to the next question in this memo. The next one deals with reporting, and that's for us because we have to report on every single one of these waivers that we've opted into during this entire time. So it's just kind of like you all have to report to us, we have to report to USDA. Okay, number 6 asks the question about the And Justice for All posters. The question is, for school year 2021, some schools are considering providing meals in the classroom rather than the cafeteria. In those situations, do the schools need to display an And Justice for All poster in every classroom? No, it is not feasible or cost effective to require that each classroom in a school display an And Justice for All poster. Instead, schools can display posters in prominent locations throughout the school, such as a bulletin board in the main building entrance, the school office, or another area frequently visited by parents and students. Schools may prefer to copy posters and put one in each classroom, but that is not required. We discussed this on our call last Thursday. If you're serving in a virtual grab and go, it does need to be posted on the table. And in a bus, it needs to be, if you're delivering to a bus stop maybe, or a mobile site, it needs to be just in the bus window. So we did discuss that last week. Okay, we've had a lot of questions over the last few calls regarding potable water. Okay, first let me go to question 7, deals with what the news I broke to you last week regarding reverting back to the 2012 meal patterns, and the fact that you're allowed to use that meal pattern flexibility to not have to go back to those meal patterns. We're hearing nationwide that the milk distributors got wind of this and they're not going to be able to do that. And so I would just advise everyone to do that. Again, that was, your flavored milk can only be fat-free. All your grains have to be whole grain, and you are to meet the sodium 2 target. Those flexibilities, there was a lawsuit. It discusses that lawsuit in this memo. It was the Center for Science and Public Interest that did that lawsuit against USDA. I couldn't remember the title of it, and there it is. But we will allow the meal pattern flexibility for this school year so that you can continue to do 1% flavored milk, you can do half your grains whole grain, and you can do the target 1 sodium for another school year. We're only going to worry about this year. I haven't heard anything about next, by the way, but we're only going to worry about this school year. 8 also deals with that same lawsuit questions that we just addressed. There is a question 9 regarding vegetable subgroups. If you have trouble meeting those, what are some options for you? It discusses that right there. It does say that we as the state agency are to consider requests that are targeted and justified if they're asking for meal pattern waiver for vegetable subgroups. So this one also, this was a bit of a change based on what I told you on the call last week. Question 10, you all had been asking me for a couple weeks on calls, can we serve 1 grade group like we were able to do over the summer? Okay, so you can do that now. I will tell you that based on this question. They do recommend that you try to do the K-8 at lunch and the 9-12 versus everyone at like the 9-12. They did recommend that on the call. And then we had another call today with USDA, just our region, and they were talking about that as well. Breakfast, you've always been able to do everyone on a K-12 meal pattern, even non-COVID timeframe. But this allows for the other. So doing a 9/12 for everyone. What was this one? 11. Let's see. I was thinking the potable, hold on, the potable water, there, it's coming up. Okay. The time period that we're allowed to approve for meal pattern waiver flexibilities, it may not be for an entire school year. You may only need it for the first 9 weeks of school or the first half of the year. And that's it gives us the ability to approve it for a certain amount of time, is what number 12 discusses. The potable water starts on 13, and it's several questions. Are schools required to provide potable water to students eating lunch at school when lunch is served in the classroom? The answer is yes. When lunch is served in the classroom, schools are required to make water available during the meal service. Schools are generally required to make potable water available to students where meals are served during the meal service, and it states the reg. Although lunch is not typically served in the classroom due to COVID-19, many schools are considering serving lunch in the classroom to accommodate social distancing. During the COVID-19 pandemic, when lunch is served in the classroom, the potable water requirement does apply. So be it in the classroom or the cafeteria. The next one deals with potable water at breakfast. That is not a requirement. It's not a requirement during the normal school year. It's just a best practice and encouraged. The next question, are schools required to provide potable water to students who are doing virtual learning and who are not eating lunch at school? No, they are not. The requirement that schools make potable water available to students where lunch is served during the meal service assumes that lunch will be consumed on site. During COVID-19 pandemic, when lunch is consumed outside of the school, i.e. lunches are provided via meal delivery, picked up by parents or guardians, or just, a drive-through, students would not be able to consume the potable water at the on-site location, even if it were offered. According to the potable water requirement, the potable water requirement does not apply. As noted above, the requirement to provide potable water with school breakfast only applies when breakfast is served in the cafeteria. And again, it's not required. Okay. There are no plans at this time to offer a nationwide potable water requirement. That they are clarifying that. Should I take a minute and answer some questions? Are you seeing any in there that are not too bad? Okay, let's see. Okay, how would we know if said child from another district is staying with someone that lives in our district? How would we know if this child from another district is staying someone? Would the home district know that? Well, Aline, when the students are coming through the drive-through to get their meal, you've got to know who they are to mark them off your list. So you aren't going to have that name of that child on your list per se. So you're going to have to ask them what district they're with and verify that with the district. Oh.
You need to remind her she still needs to take names if they're doing pickup.
Okay, and sorry, Aline, Dana just reminded me you're with Shawnee and your CEP, and you still have to take names for pickup even on CEP this year. Okay, feeding students from another district, wouldn't that push you over on the amount of free and reduced students you have at a site?
Yes, it will.
Dana is saying yes, it will. She's holding up a piece of paper. Hold on. She was prepared for this question. Why she works ahead of me. She's going to talk.
You will need to check when you do your first claim that you are claiming students that are not enrolled, visiting students, or adult education. There's a box in your claim, and it's not me that was ahead. We can thank Ed Edgar for being ahead and bringing me
Oh,
this piece of paper.
Edgar the Great. That's what we call Edgar. Edgar the Great. We love Edgar. I know a lot of you do too. We hear that a lot. Okay. Okay, thank you, thank you. Bertha, I next to Duar, and their provision 2. Okay, that provision question, I wondered if that was a provision 2 question, and it was. Let me double check on that for you, Bertha. I'm going to find that out. Mary, I will. And that will be answered in the Q&A when it comes out. Do we have to feed the student from another district? If you have opted into the non-congregate nationwide waiver, yes, you do. Can a district with some CEB schools apply the percentage to students in the same district? The student is enrolled at another site that is not CEP. Let me read that again, Shelley. Can a district with some CEP schools apply the percent to the students in the same district? What am I missing there, Dana? We might need to talk, Shelley. That might be one of those that we need to clarify on the phone to make sure we're clear on everything. Oh, Nancy figured it out. The person writing the question has to be all panelists and attendees. If they're not, you all don't see it. So if you're typing a question, make sure it says all panelists and attendees. Yes, enter it into the system. Jim, I don't remember. That's the problem. I don't. Oh, that's the one where, okay, so your answer, I'm scrolling back and forth to look at my questions, sorry. Yes, Jim, I think I ended up answering your question. The person asking, okay, we've got that. If you have a child from another district show up to receive a meal and you don't know their status, do you serve them and get it later, or do you need the information in advance? Ideally, it'd be nice to have it in advance, but I realize that may not happen. So you, at that point, follow up with it after that. Keep track of who it was, the school they're with, call the school, give the status. Getting it in advance is not always going to be an option, and I do realize that. Valco numbers are about the same. 2 grades at a time. Oh, in the cafeteria, yes, offering. Okay, Gary, is there, okay, we got that. If you're wanting to put a poster in all the classrooms, which is not required, you can make a copy. We are still working on getting those out. You're right, Kim. We've always been told we can't copy posters, and then we get this guidance from USDA. I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna do the emoji like this. That's all I can say is I got the guidance here. But we are still planning on mailing you those that you asked for last time on the call, I promise. Yes, Highland contacted our cafeteria manager over the milk change. Yes, the milk, one of the Highland milk representatives contacted Dana because they were under the impression that they had to apply for the waiver for the school or on the milk company's behalf. That is not true. That is not true. The school does that. Nancy, True Moo. Oh, are they really? That's the first I've heard of that. True Moo still offering fat-free milk. Okay, well then, that's good to know. I did not know that. Yes, Natalie, you're right. Kim, it does. That's why I went like this, because USDA all of a sudden gives guidance that we can copy posters. Yes, Krista, that is what the guidance that we got on last Friday said after I had been given the information that that wasn't allowed. So again, emoji, 9 through 12 or K-12 for lunch. There's no K-12 meal pattern. There's a 9-12 meal pattern. And if the calories need to be increased for the 9 through 12, you can give an additional fruit or vegetable is what the guidance says. My screen is not changing. My screen is still on new memo. And that's the last slide. There were 2 slides, cover slide and then the memo slide. So that's all you've got. We aren't changing the PowerPoint as we go. Anyone else? Okay, we aren't getting an echo in here. we're not getting an echo in here. Sometimes we cause the echo in here, but we've got that figured out, so we shouldn't be doing that anymore. Okay. Yes, you do need to do the waiver to do the 9 through 12. Yes. Sounds perfect. Good. No echo. Let's see. I'm scrolling through. I thought we were going to add that. Sorry, Dana and I are having a sidebar conversation. I thought we talked about adding that on Monday. Did it not get it? Well, Dana, come on now. Just kidding. Dana was off on Monday when we talked about doing something. We're going to get that updated. We have not heard when the wave will be up and running. In fact, what's funny, you mentioned that. We didn't know the wave was down. We didn't get any information on that until we started getting calls in here on Monday afternoon, I think. And we reached out and they did finally put something out that the wave was down, and they did not have an estimated time of it being fixed. I apologize. Turn your microphone volume down might help. Okay, on offer versus serve waiver on component requests, it says to only check one. I don't understand because there are 8 they are supposed to have in a week. Did we ever figure out what that meant?
No. Yeah.
Tina,
she's talking about the meal pattern waiver.
Tina, are you talking about the meal pattern waiver on offer versus serve? I'm not following what you mean by the 8 in a week. So if students are bringing water bottles to fill at the water bottle stations, yes, that will be acceptable. That is correct. We did hear that this morning. Are we going to make parents pre-order meals so we would get that information ahead of time? You may do that as long as you make it known to your district and families that that is what you all are doing or what you're requiring. It needs to be made public to them. A Google form, okay. Helen's using a Google form to do that at Bixby, and several others are too. Stillwell, I know Mel's with Stillwell. Lisa Hall. Is anyone else having trouble with the Lincoln cars for the memo? No, it is there. It's uploaded in there, Lisa. It is in cars. Question 10, can we request a waiver to provide middle school lunch, all drive-through meals? Question 10. Let me go to the question. Can we request a waiver to provide a middle school lunch for all drive-through meals? Yes, that is allowable, Dan, sorry. Yes, I had to go back and reference that. I always have to go back and look at it to make sure, but yes. You would just have to provide some additional fruit, like it mentions, or something to ensure that those calories for the high school are there, so yes. If we are offering both in-person and virtual learning plans, do we have to opt into the non-congregate waiver if we want to serve our virtual students? Yes. Or can we just charge them as if they are on site? Yeah, the non-congregate waiver is what allows you to feed your virtual kids and they can take it away from the school. Just drive through and get it. Oh, okay, you had to use, okay, so Gloria said she had to go into Google Chrome to be able to get that memo to come up. Internet Explorer does not work real well anymore, folks. It's not supported anymore. So that might be the issue if you're trying to get on cars through Internet Explorer. That has nothing to do with us, that's them. Jim, we are CEP, yes, Adult Mogi. All virtual students received an Adult Mogi meal pass. Is that sufficient for their ID to deliver them meals? Yeah, because only your Adult Mogi kids will have it. It probably has a picture or something on it or a student ID. And are you scanning it as they go through? They show the pass as they, okay. And then how are you ensuring keeping that who's eating? Is it a scan process or something to that effect? I'm assuming, I don't. Right.
Normally take names or money.
But if maybe he does have a way to scan. Let's see, Pam, not that we would have any, but I am not understanding if a child shows up wants a meal, do we make them wait until we find out their status? If we don't know they are full pay. I'm going to find out about the collecting of money for if they're paid. You can take a name. That I need to find that out. That was one I've already written down. I will, and I'm checking on provision claiming visitors too. So those will be in the chat, answered in the chat. Yes, it is a good question. I agree. Yeah, I agree. We're all shrugging our shoulders at this point. Also, we have different color passes, so we know what grade they are in, so you give them the correct meal and component. Well, that's great. That's a good plan. I like that. Great. The memo came up on Google. True Move, fat-free chocolate, and the grouchy dietitian ruler for the win. Oh, that's funny. If the child has a full status and they are supposed to pay when they pick up their meal, what happens if they tell you they're free? Okay, I'm going to look into that. I agree, Deborah. I will get some answers on that. We have a first grade grader doing virtual and has a brother that should be in pre-K. Since pre-K is not required to do any, not required, they do not have a virtual option for him. What if the pre-K kiddo wants a meal? If the pre-K kiddo is enrolled in that school, in your school, Teresa, they can get a meal. So I'm not even going to ask that question. I was going to get into why. I don't need to get into the whys of why they're not doing something for pre-K. But I'm assuming since you say should be in pre-K, are they not? Well, maybe I do need to go there. Are they not offering pre-K this year because of virtual? So now that I reread that, the should be kind of hung me up. Might need to discuss that further. Tina's answer was yes.
I agree with Becky Gilbert. That way, Tina may have the wrong form. She may be looking at the meal pattern form instead of offer versus serve waiver.
Okay, Tina, we're wondering if maybe you have the wrong form. You're thinking,
Meal pattern.
oh, Becky's answer. I think she has the wrong form because it isn't on offer versus serve. So you're thinking she has the meal pattern one and not the offer versus serve one?
The meal pattern does say check only one.
Okay, the meal pattern does say check only one. That's right. We talked about that. But the offer versus serve wouldn't have that on there. So you may have the wrong waiver, Tina. It seems like the non-congregate feeding waiver is more trouble than it's worth, especially for your little school. Can we opt out if we've already sent our application and been approved? If you've already turned in a waiver to do that and you want to change your mind, you can. You can. It's the district's choice. I can't make you do non-congregate or congregate because you have that option. So you'd need to reach out to your area consultant and go that route so we can back it out of there. We are AB group for this week. We offered meals as a pickup option for the days they are virtual, as well as with all enrolled virtual. We had about 70 sign up and only about 12. You're kidding. That's terrible. Oh, I hate to hear that. 20 only picked up. Wednesday, we actually delivered to 9 different spots and had a total of 148 sign up and only 32 picked up. Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's been discussed on this call before, what can be done about that. Of course, I'm going to be honest with you, USDA doesn't have an answer for that. Some of you probably just laughed by that statement, but that has been discussed on our calls, and they really don't have a good plan on that. That is very unfortunate. I was hoping that wasn't going to be the case. I kind of thought it might be, but I don't have a suggestion. Does anyone out there on the call have any insight or had any good luck with coming up with a different alternative for Heather P. I can't see your last name, Heather. The head cook told me they are supposed to have 8 of what is listed in a week. If we check only one, which one do we choose? Tina, you might need to call up here or call your area consultant so that we can maybe discuss that. Something's being missed in the virtual chat here of typing. We're not following something. Tammy thought that Highland bought out Oak Farms True Moo. No, Oak Farms bought out Borden. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, good to know. We no longer use Internet Explorer. Yeah, that is because that's not being supported by anyone anymore. We do not have enough participating in distance learning at this time to opt into the non-congregate waiver, but in the event of a school-wide shutdown, could we opt in? Yes, you can opt in when you need it. You just reach out to your consultant, fill out the form, and put the time frame that you would need it for. Maybe you're just going to do it for 2 weeks or a month or whatever, 3 weeks, a week. But it does, you can put that date or time span in that. Wow, so Shelley, you're having the same problem with your virtual. We're having virtual students pre-order meals, but few are showing to get them. Monday we expected 150 and only 50. Yeah,
Ask Shelley, are they charging those full paid kids for those meals that they're ordering them, or are they not charging?
Shelley, Dana's wondering if you're charging those full paid kids that for the pickup of a virtual meal, and are you charging them if they don't show up?
I don't know if she can do that yet.
We don't have guidance on that. That is a question that will come up when I talk to them. Yeah, it is good to know these numbers because that's not, I hate to say it, it's just not right to you all to do that. You've gone through the trouble to do it, and then, yeah. Okay, he's not enrolled. Then no, the answer is no, unfortunately. It's not like this summer where you could feed all siblings and everybody, and that's the other issue that we're hearing a lot nationwide. So since he's not enrolled in the district, that's the whole key right now because we're under National School Lunch, School Breakfast. Okay. Okay. We were originally instructed to feed our enrolled students only, but if they aren't on our virtual district list, how do we verify it quickly if they are in the food pickup line? We were originally instructed to feed our enrolled students. Okay, you are only to feed your enrolled students. That is true. Well, let me rephrase that. Now you're referring to now that I'm talking about the out of district, sorry. Okay, so feeding your enrolled students, yes, that is a true statement. But if they aren't on our virtual district list, that's the question. That is a question that I'm going to pose back. Yeah, I've got to get information on that. If they aren't on our list, yeah, no, you're exactly right. Okay, I think I know what answer I'm going to get to that, but let me do some checking. I'm going to write down something. Okay, sorry about that. If we offer food to free and reduced, do we have to offer meals to go to full pay? Is that your district, your enrolled, what am I trying to say? Your enrolled students, you do need to offer it to everyone, all of your enrolled students in your district, yes. Yeah, you do. That becomes a problem in a couple different ways, if not. Pre-K is not a state mandate, therefore a student that can attend pre-K is not required by law to attend. Right, which also means they're not enrolled in that school. They're not enrolled in the district. So therefore, since you can only do your enrolled, that's kind of where I'm going with that. I just, Dean, Spot Borden, Oakbot, Dean, and oh, gee, who's on first? Dean, Spot Borden, Oak Farm bought Dean, and now Perry Farm owns Oak Farms. Okay, that's, wow. Ultimately, it may end up being with one, it sounds like. Pam, now if you choose not to feed the virtual, would you be able to still count them on your low income?
That wouldn't,
Yeah, because they'd be ineligible. Potentially, they would be, I don't believe that anything's going to change on the low income because the districts have a virtual option. I'm not aware that any of that will change the low income report in any way. So if you're able to know what your virtual student status are, because they're still enrolled in your district, so they would be a free or reduced eligible, and ultimately they would go on your low income report like normal. So yeah, I do think that is acceptable. Okay, more on the milk. Okay. Okay, so please keep pushing for SSO. Okay, so Friday night, I received an email from the state superintendent that she had received an email, a letter to probably someone over at the legislature, if I remember correctly, that had sent it to her, that is not within their authority to be able to extend those. So it's not looking like they will be. And I know that I read an SNA brief yesterday. They met with Brandon Lips, the undersecretary, who's right under Sonny Perdue in DC. And he also informed them that that was not within their realm of authority to be able to do that based on, oh, there were multiple things he mentioned that was mentioned in the letter I read, and that he said Congress doesn't give them the authority, and there's something to do with Office of Management and Budget also that they don't have the authority to do that. So right now, that's looking a little bit even less and less that would happen. But it was pushed at our leadership level within the state. She did push for that, and she submitted letters to congressmen and senators and such. I do know that, and I believe that's why we received the letter we got. Margot, please reach out to your area consultant. Okay, so maybe that addresses the 8 grains and meat for the week. Okay, so that is the meal pattern waiver. That's not the offer versus serve waiver. Okay. Okay, so for pickup meals, Lisa Griffin at Union, we have emails of parents who ordered meals each day from our order form, and we send them emails the day to remind them to pick them up. It has helped us decrease the number of no-shows. So there's something that did help a school district, a large district in Tulsa, if that helps some of you that were having issues with pickup of ordered food. Valerie, if we are running a bus route for virtual students, yes, that was discussed this morning on the call. 2 different milks, yes. It does, right, yes.
and the meal pattern waiver will not work for that. That's what Shannon said, that they.
Right. Yeah, you do have to do the 2 different milks. Tammy, that has been asked and we have not gotten guidance on that. But that is a question I will ask again. I'm making a note. Ordered, not picked up. Okay, I am waiting on that. Okay, Kathy liked Lisa Griffin's idea, so maybe that will help several of you. Thank you, Lisa. I'm going to find out, Heather, can we charge them if they don't show up? I've got that right here, and I've asked that before, and I believe another state in our region asked that, but we haven't received anything on that. Carrie, you're having trouble getting virtual people to come eat, okay? It's a waste of USDA money, so what will their plan be? for that. You know, USDA is so picky about their money. Yeah. What method our district using in having students sign up for virtual days? We are having a virtual day the second Monday of each month. Just want some suggestions. Can you send a brown bag home at the end of the day on Friday? Yes, if you've opted into the non-congregate, yes, you can. And the mealtime flexibility waiver would come in there too. Shelley, we are not claiming or charging the meals for no-show students. We are busy trying to figure out how to use the food to avoid waste. I agree. I am gonna check on that. Just for your numbers info, Millwood had 361 students pre-order. Whew, okay. Thank you, Jennifer. Wow. Okay, thank you for adding that to that. That is information they do like to have. I think I've got enough at this point to let them know what's going on, but they do like to give, and they do like to have that. So we have students that live in our district and have transferred to another district that's doing online instructions. Do we have to feed them in a non-congregate waiver in place? So when you say they've transferred to another district, that means they're enrolled in that other district. They're not enrolled in your district anymore. I believe that's a true statement. I could be wrong. There's been some odd things going on this year. So they would really eat at that district because they're enrolled there. But if they came to yours, I see where you're going with this. If they came to your district, you would need to get the status. If you have opted into the non-congregate waiver, you would need to get their status from that school to be able to claim them accordingly. Lynn, cut back on fixing, let's see, what they need to do is cut back on fixing what they are making. We cut back on ours, and the bus route drivers are bringing back less meals and throwing away less meals. Okay, that's good to know. Carrie. Virtual students. I'm not following Carrie Curl. I'm not following, you just typed virtual students. Okay, more about the milk companies. We now have an East Jersey dairy. Okay. It is required. Is it required to serve non-congregate meal to a student that is not in the district, or is it a district decision? I thought that was addressed. If I can maybe, I was thinking that was addressed. Just talks about allowing it. I don't know if it talks about it being required. It's discussed in 4s where it talks about feeding just students from another district and getting the information.
May permit.
You see the SFA's, is that last sentence, Dana? Is that what you're referring to?
That was under any meal within an SFA. We're talking about crossing SFAs here. So also may permit parents and guardians to pick up meals for their children at any school within an SFA. Okay, that's still within the SFA.
I don't know that it says it's required, but if you're feeding virtual, let's find that out. Writing, sorry. Okay, let's see what I can find out. Okay, more on the milk. Lynn, we started out at $3.79 for middle and high school meals. Now we're feeding $2.07. Then our elementary was serving $3.40. Okay, is anyone interested in apply for my job at Sapulpa when I retire? Please email me so I can let. Okay, there'll be a job opening in Sapulpa in December. Let Nancy know if you're interested. Jeff Gunter at Dean Foods or for non-fat true moo. Okay, more on the milk there of who to contact. Our total enrollment is down by 60 plus, so our meals are definitely has hurt our meal count. Oh, sure, absolutely. A lot of parents call and tell us that they don't want food, so we take off the roster on the bus route so they don't make that a stop. Okay, that's okay. We have 0 virtual students coming to get meals. Oh, that's interesting. So you're offering them to virtuals, but nobody's coming. Huh. Anybody out there have a way to entice them? Rebecca is not feeding any virtual. She would if they'd show up though, apparently. So we are down as well, feeding 360, now feeding 2. Yeah. Yeah, that's nationwide, we're hearing that. We only have 2 virtual come pick up out of 34. What milk would you send home on Thursday for Friday? That's a USDA doesn't, that's stuff they don't think about.
Have the kids order it.
Dana said she'd have the kids order it. That's the old director in her. It's a great question. What?
I would send them chocolate.
And she goes under her breath, I would send home chocolate. We do know that that's the more popular milk. You know what? I'm going to tell you to use your very best judgment on that, Cindy, because I'm going to be honest with you. They're not going to be able to answer that. Or they're going to tell you something similar to Dana's first response, have them order it. And sometimes that's just not possible. In the wise words of Angela Klein in policy at the national office, she told us in a meeting one day when she was being bombarded with questions, it's not a perfect process. We do the best we can. That became our mantra up here for the longest time. And several of you all that were in that meeting are probably laughing that are on my staff. So we're a small school. We ask our virtual students' parents to pick up meals weekly, and they are pre-ordered. That's an option. That's probably a good option for a smaller school. That's really feasible. Question 19 on the August 5th Q&A. Okay, August 5th Q&A. Those are probably dealing with, I'm gonna pull out my stack of memos and thumb through those while I go through some more questions. So the Q&A on August 5th. Thank you for that, Hillary. Oh, you're referring, she's referring to our Q&As. Okay. I don't have those in front of me. I go straight to USDA Q&As when I see Q&As anymore. So, any options for repeat offenders? No show for meals. Yeah, okay. I do remember this now, but when I'm reading this, yeah. We posed the question to USDA on a call. The guidance was given the district should have a policy, and this policy should be distributed to all families on how ordering meals and how to treat offenders who order meals and do not pick them up. And and post on the website. I do remember that now. Thank you. We have around 250 kids doing virtual and only seeing 4 to 5. Oh goodness. Okay. Okay, I just was writing that down. Yes, okay, I'm glad, Jennifer, thank you. There are about two more questions on this memo, and they are about CACFP. I'm flipping through, but I went too far. And how to provide at-risk virtually, the educational enrichment component. Okay, and that is discussed on 18. So they are allowing for a virtual educational enrichment for sending meals home for virtual students. And what that will look like is You can give them like a small sheet of paper with a website on it with educational enrichment activities and put that in their bag, and that will suffice. Or you can put an activity worksheet, something like an activity worksheet, maybe a story and answer questions, math problems, enrichment or educational worksheet, something more than a color sheet, I can tell you that, in that bag, and that is allowable for an educational enrichment component for at risk. They did define that, I guess you could say. So yes, that is question 18 in the memo. And then a lot of people, of course, were asking, what does an unanticipated school, what has to happen for it to go back to like an unanticipated school meal closure type scenario that you would potentially use go back for a short period of time, maybe to SSO or SFSP. And it does address that in 20. So if instruction is not provided to children as planned, an unanticipated school closure occurs. If a school plans to offer virtual learning or a mix of in-person classes and virtual learning, any meals provided to children must be claimed through the National School Lunch, School Breakfast Program. During a period when no instruction is being provided, nothing, and every school at this point in time would have a way to do virtual now. That is the only time that we could go, and we would have to be involved in that discussion of SSO or SFSP may be operated. Once instruction resumes in any form, the unexpected school closure is ended and schools must return to providing meals through the National School Lunch, School Breakfast using the many flexibilities provided for school year 2021. And it goes on to make one more statement. Let me flip my page. Please note that a delay of the school year beginning is not an unanticipated school closure. So that is the last of that memo. Do SDE rule address employment rules for support staff like they mandate teacher pay? We are at 6% of our regular participation and can't afford food and labor. I think there might be something on support staff pay, but it's not through our office. It might be through accreditation. I'm not for sure about that though, Krista, but I know it's not through us. When is the non-congregate waiver needed? If you want to serve meals in a grab and go or delivery model because of virtual learning, that's when the non-congregate waiver is needed. We aren't feeding any virtual students either, and that might happen. And we've heard a couple districts that aren't. Nobody's showing up, I understand. Krista, also need the answer to this summer. We only had 3 working and now 13. And if we go out, we are in trouble. I think that was to Krista Neal from Carrie Kinsey. Stephanie, I assume if we feed students from another district who are paid or reduced, they need to pay. I believe that's probably going to be the answer I get, but I am asking that question to USDA, Stephanie. It's been asked before. Pardon me? We might even ask if you can send that bill to the home district, and we're gonna get clarification on that. I may even reach out to some of the other states in our region and see if what they're finding about that. Okay, another school not feeding virtual bus riders. Bus riders, what did I miss about bus riders? What about Cindy? What about bus riders? Did I miss something? Bus riders. Cindy, I'm not following the bus rider statement. During summer, we have only 1 white at breakfast and 1. Yeah, that's summer meal patterns allow for that. Okay, maybe it's regarding shelf stable milk. Somebody did mention sending home shelf stable milk.
It's expensive.
And that's what Cindy just said. It's 55 cents. Yeah. If it's for breakfast and lunch, we did 1 each white and chocolate for the summer. Yes, that was juice. Okay, Jim's. Some of these are just referencing the milk. No virtual student call-in orders for Vanita. Okay. Oh, wow. 10 at the most showing up out of 6,000. Goodness gracious. Okay. So did sending pre-order meals, Ramona, to pick up weekly, did that increase virtual students picking up meals? Not very many virtual students picking up daily. I'm seeing that a lot on here. No virtual here at Perkins. Okay. Okay. So virtual, they're not really coming to get meals. Shauna, how can we distribute those meals? I'm not following what meals you're referring to. Yeah, sorry, Jim, no coloring sheets. Well, I mean, you can do your menu with a coloring sheet on it, but that can't count as your educational enrichment component. Edmond was all virtual yesterday, 150 breakfasts and 250 lunches. That's district-wide too, probably, right, Dan? Goodness, yeah, Wednesday is your virtual day. So at-risk meals are allowed to be sent home, grab-and-go style with our blended virtual students. It's allowed to be sent home in a grab-and-go for your virtual. If they're on site, they've got to do it like normal. They've got to do the educational enrichment at the end of the day. That is the same. It's for your virtual meals, at-risk meals going home. Yeah, Pam, I understand. I agree with that statement. Goodness. Yeah, when they have to pay even reduced prices, not worth them getting out of the house. Insert eye roll. Looks like lunch programs are going to need a bailout soon. Yes, USDA is well aware of that. In fact, in that SNA news brief I read yesterday, when they met with Brandon Lips, that was, besides the memos or those waivers wanting to be extended, that was their next information they wanted to make sure he understood the money is an issue, and that these programs that were doing very well financially and prior to all this are hurting very bad. So national office is aware, our regional office is aware, and they keep telling the national office. So just so you know, it is being told, it is being talked about. That doesn't mean there's going to be an answer soon. They're just aware of it. Is there a non-congregate, oh gosh, where did it jump to? Okay, is there a non-congregate waiver for at-risk CACFP meals? That would be included with the non-congregate waiver. At-risk meaning I can distribute lunch, breakfast, and at-risk at the same time? Yes, that is correct. Need to have the virtual educational enrichment component in that SAC or a educational enrichment activity worksheet type form. Yes, that is, Shauna, that is correct. That was, finally got that cleared up. Yeah, Dan, I hate to see that. That's awful. Dana's sitting over here just shaking her head because she knows what you guys are dealing with as a former director. She feels very sorry for you. Is the milk waiver on cars? No, you need to reach out to your area consultant. They can provide that for you. We talk about it on our calls all the time. In fact, today's call was more on the issues that we're hearing at the schools than anything. We do relay that to our regional office. There was a national person on one of our calls 2 weeks ago now, Dana. Was Angela on that call? We relayed that to her as well. No, we definitely are. When the meal pattern, that change came out, I made sure and my regional office had nothing to do with that, but I made it clear that this was not something that you all needed to take on at this point. So, got it. We can do that. I just need to apply for all the sites. Yes. Yeah. You would need, if you're going to do that, you would need to add sites under CACFP. Yes, that is correct. Yeah, I know, Tammy. No. And Tammy, I know what you're up against there. You know, I was at Mustang for many years with you in the field, and I offered you an application for a job here, Tammy. I really did. I gave you the information you needed. I'm kidding. Just kidding. I did do it, but I'm just giving you a hard time. No, you all have physically done nothing wrong with what's going on with your budgets. Nothing wrong. This has done terrible things to many, many districts financially in the child nutrition side and other side as well. I just am more on the child nutrition side. Obviously, I know other budget-wise, other programs are hurting as well. But yeah, we've put it up there with them. Please clarify what the milk waiver is all about and why it's needed. I'm a bit confused. Okay, about 2 weeks ago, information was told to us on a call. There was a lawsuit filed back in, I think I even have the date, in April of this year. A organization called Center for Science in the Public Interest filed a federal lawsuit against USDA for implementing the waivers on the milk that your flavored, milk could be 1% because it was the requirements were fat-free, that the target 1 sodium requirement could continue to be met when it really should be at this point to target level 2. And they were continuing to allow for half your grains to be whole grain, whereas at this point with the meal pattern changes back from 2012, they should be all whole grain. So USDA had issued those flexibilities for those 3 things. And this Center for Science in the Public Interest filed a lawsuit against USDA because they said those flexibilities were put in place erroneously, basically. And so USDA lost their federal lawsuit, and that meant that your fat-free milk had to go back, or your flavored milk had to go back to fat-free, so chocolate or strawberry or whatever had to continue to go back to being fat-free. All your grains had to be whole grain, and you had to meet the target 2 sodium level. This waiver that USDA has been giving for the last several months, the meal pattern flexibility waiver, will allow you to continue those flexibilities rather than reverting back to the original 2012 meal patterns. That's just kind of a quick response to that. So if you want to do your flavored milk as 1%, and you want to do half your grains whole grain, and you want to meet the sodium target 1, you need to get with your area consultant and fill out the meal pattern waiver to be able to do that. Thank you, Lynn. We are 2. Chris, yes, Chris, I do have those. I talked to him yesterday. I have them. Yeah, he sent them to Karen and I. Yes, I have them. Thank you. Okay, it appears that we are at the end of the questions. If you're wanting a meal pattern waiver for the 3 items I just mentioned, it's listed as 1 item, 1 checkbox on the meal pattern waiver that you get from your consultant. We grouped that one, as all together because we figured that would probably at this point be the most applied for waiver. And I think most everybody is doing it. So you would only need to do it for those 3 things. You would only have to check the 1 box. You do have to follow meal patterns still. That didn't change. And a reminder, it's not on our waiver. Then Dana just said you have an old waiver, which you do, because when this came out, right before the call last week when we announced it, we had updated our waiver because we didn't know it was coming. We were blindsided by it as well. As a reminder, the NSLP SBP application's been out for several weeks, maybe even longer. Please get in there and insert your 21 and get that filled out. Without that complete, you won't be able to file your first claim for National School Lunch, School Breakfast. That has to be approved first. The offer versus serve waiver, let's keep in mind, that was really implemented for if you were serving in the classroom for the high school at lunch. That's really the purpose of that waiver. And It appears that I do not have any more questions. Oh, maybe one popped up. No, thank you. Okay, you guys are doing a great job. You all are doing a great job. Nobody has ever been through any of this. Nationwide, we're all dealing with it. Unfortunately, now it appears that Louisiana and maybe Houston have another problem on their hands, and that's a hurricane. So that might fall under Houston. We have a problem, like Dana just said. So just, you know, we're doing the best we can. We know you guys are working hard. We're all tired. If we get more guidance, we'll come out with this sooner if we need to. We will plan on going ahead and having, this is not our normal week for a call. Next week is. We will plan on having one next week, just in case. If it's raining, oh, it is raining. We just looked out our window in the conference room and it is absolutely pouring here in Oklahoma City. Sorry, chasing a squirrel there. Just thank you for everything you're doing. Keep it up. We will get through this. We got to do it all together, but we will get there. Got one question where it says you have exhausted to, I'm not following that. Regina, reach out to your consultant. I'm not quite following what that says. Okay, we're getting off. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you for everything, and we'll be in touch as soon as we have more information, if we do, or next Thursday on our call. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.